This is neat. This is all the nature stuff. All the plants.
Guide to what you might expect.
No cougars. That's good. I just like the adventure of a human in an outdoor setting more than the adventure of the outdoors in and of themselves. So I like to be simply outside going on a deep adventure with another human. So Real You Adventures, the adventure of the real you. Which is interesting because Richard Rohr talks about false you versus real you. And that kind of rekindled this with my research with Richard Rohr again, that started picking up. And he just had a lot of talks on YouTube about the real you versus the false you. And I was like, this is interesting. What inspired you to seek the Enneagram or find out about it? Was that in dovetail with Richard Rohr or separate discovery?
Yeah, it was. I think one of the things that kind of launched it was that little book that the Enneagram made simple.
Yeah,
easy.
That's what I learned about from you. You shared that book with the family when I was like 20. So 20 years ago. And now it's like trending. I don't know if you noticed that. Like how the Enneagram is just like everybody's talking about it. Like it's getting really big in the corporate world. Like Brene Brown and Enneagram are like huge right now. I found myself needing to learn about them more because of the demand, because I would be facilitating these groups and they'd be like, Jason, teach us about Brene Brown. Teach us about the Enneagram. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to learn about those things and get back to you. Excuse me, hiccups. And then what I've discovered is if the corporations run the world and the corporate world wants to know more about this stuff, which is about changing your heart, then I got optimistic. So if the corporate heart changes, then that means the world's changing. And I'm just finding myself in the middle of it. I'm not, you know what I mean? It wasn't this vision, 5-year plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just finding myself participating with it in the trenches, and I'm just thrilled. It's like, oh, okay, awesome. Here we go.
Yeah.
You know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, what an optimistic view of our future, you know, because what's concerned me is the corporate mentality that kind of saps the souls of employees.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think there could be with anything, a toxicity to how corporations run, but then you can see other corporations that, I mean, I guess it depends on how you define corporation. If you want to say organizations or whatever that actually do a lot of good, a lot of help. I think the problem is greed, right? Like once the corporation's doing good and they see the money rolling in, it's hard to keep that beast tame. You know, It's like more. I mean, I've experienced that in my own life, and then you take it for granted, and then it disappears. It's so weird.
Say again?
Well, you take it for granted and it disappears, then you get humbled, and then you get back to it, which when I say back to it, I always like Conan O'Brien's commencement speech thesis. His big life motto is, be kind, work hard, and amazing things will happen. And that's really stuck with me through my life, like, and also what you've said about the cell relaxing into who it is. Because when a cell's trying to be something it's not, it becomes cancerous. So those kind of things have been kind of my North Star, my values. Like when you told me that when I was 12, it's like never left me. I was like, okay, just relax into who I am. Let it flow.
Yeah.
Be kind, work hard, and things will work out. Like, and they have. I mean, that's always been successful for me with how I define success in my life when I've stuck to those things. And also, I will say that seeking that inner divine spark has been huge. I think major redirects in my life.
So one of the main passive forces is our inner, moral compass, the divine spark within, ethics and morality that lead to some reasonable laws, and contracts that people make, and a sense of honor, with it's a nice view, huh?
Yeah. Keep going though. It's good.
Yeah, so all those things help and are necessary for keeping fear and greed from dominating.
Values such as,
Yeah, ethics, like being kind, like
oh,
you're saying
yeah.
about, being that, the idea that if I treat you, well, that's a kind of more advanced spirituality for a lot of people. But if I, the way I treat you is I'm treating myself that way. I mean, it comes around. What goes around comes around, and so it behooves me to before I act or say something, to get myself into my spirit into balance about it. So I'm not coming from anger or reactivity, but more, that creativity,
Yeah.
coming from that higher vibration.
Yeah.
And then what you contribute is going to, make things work out.
Yeah.
Versus not work out.
Yeah. It's either like it'll stay in the same cesspool or get worse, or you can start, just kind of growing out of it. I've been talking with this guy who's into Qigong, actually, and I told him about you. I was like, man, you guys got to meet. And his big practice is flow, and to relax into flow, and to be careful with our verbiage about being above anything, because then that entails that something else is below, and your ego will quickly grab onto it. But to really see it as like it's all in this together. And when you relax, like in Qigong, and you let your body do what it needs to do, things will be released, toxins, maybe something that you're holding on to that you didn't know that needs to be moved, maybe a thought pattern. Instead of avoiding it and resisting it, like relax into it. Yeah. I'm sure that resonates with like your work, right? I mean, is there?
Yeah, very much. Yeah. The thing that seems to be the common theme with my clients, and certainly with myself too, as humans, is, when you're feeling pain, you don't want to feel that way. Right? And so,
yeah, I don't.
right.
Ouchie.
So how am I going to not feel this way? How can I stop this? And so it sort of feels counterintuitive, but the way the way out is to go in, and to relax into to where you're able to be more mindful, like using your prefrontal cortex of your brain to be mindful of the state that your body's in, so that you're not putting all your effort into getting out of it. That works as well as trying to get out of it. The Chinese handcuffs, the
Chinese finger trap or handcuffs. Yeah.
So you got to relax into it, and then go that way with the flow of it. And so,
that's a really good analogy, because I remember when I first would use that as a kid, there's a little bit of panic.
Yeah.
That
I'm going to be stuck here forever.
Yeah. But then as somebody who knows it, or an adult, it's like, just relax.
Yeah.
This isn't a big deal.
Easy for you to say.
I can't get my fingers out. Yeah, I wonder how many things in my life currently are like that. Like, it's just so simple to get out of, but it seems like this huge problem. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 20/20 sometimes.
Well, it's research. We can
It's research.
look back on, how did I do this?
How did I do that? Yeah.
But like when you've talked about the AM station and the FM station in the brain, the limbic system, the fight, flight,
Fight, flight, or freeze.
Yeah. The against me thoughts are negative and rampant, and it's a real stuck kind of place to be in, scary. and anxious and angry and everything, like that. But what the brain looks like when you're in that state is that part of the brain is flaring up, and the neocortex, the FM station, in you put it, the ability to see what's for you, what it is that you have, is unplugged pretty much. We don't have access to even remembering that we have some skills as to how to get out of this. We're unplugged from that knowing for a certain time frame. So we, so that's why it's good to have a hack, as Jewel put it. Something to remember, like breathe, or relax, or what can I think about that I have that I'm grateful for, to replace all this rampant thought of what I don't have and what I don't want, and just to start to activate your your big brain. And so I've kind of made
okay, keep going.
an acronym for
Nice.
For this, time out, turn into my emotion, TIME.
Yeah.
Turn into my emotion, and then breathe, OUT, oxygen, and U for unconditional mindfulness, of just being with what is without resistance, relaxing into it with your, ability to be with what is. It is what it is. That sort of mindset, and then the T for a number of things. One of which, though, is trust the process. Relax into it and trust that your big brain is going to, you're creating an environment for your brain that's conducive to a light bulb coming on, a creative idea that comes without forcing it. That's how light bulbs, creative ideas come, is they'll emerge as you relax into the situation that you're in. And you can add, if you add some bilateral stimulation to your brain, like take a walk, that's another T word.
Yeah.
And, like you've talked about on these hikes, it's like you can think better.
Yeah, no, that's totally why I do it this way, yeah. So time out, that's the whole acronym?
Yeah.
So just, can you say it one more time?
Okay.
Which?
TIME.
Okay.
Turn into my emotion. I call that the warrior move, because initially when you're reactive, you're all externally oriented. Like, what am I going to change out there,
Yeah.
What do I need to, we're urgent about the change that needs to happen externally. And it's, research has taught me that never works, to attack something, with force to get it to change. You might change it, but then you got to watch your back forever after that. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the big kind of debate. Those who think, that the solution is force versus, those that say, okay, let's listen to each other, and some solutions will emerge. Trusting that that's possible. When a person's in a reactive mode, they don't even. So that's why I call it the warrior move, is because to turn from focusing on the external to the internal process,
which is said is your worst enemy, right? Like facing the real.
Yeah. We're not taught much about how to do that.
Yeah.
Or what value there might be in it either.
That's great.
To make that turn. So.
Well, it's self-mastery. It's all that stuff too. That's huge.
Yeah.
Turn into my emotion.
And then breathe, get oxygen to the brain. Basically do a few things that are counteracting the stress response. Because your breathing's cut short with the fight, flight, freeze, and so to make yourself open your abdomen and breathe in, and you could do a few. There's thousands of breathing exercises that you can do to add to the value of that. But I like to breathe in like I'm reeling myself in off everything that maybe I'm hooked into externally. Cut the lines, breathe in.
Cut the lines, yeah, that's good.
Drop anchor on the exhale.
Ooh.
Drop anchor and feel the ground under you.
Yeah, that is qigong stuff right there. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So time, turn into my emotion. And what letters for the breathe part? Oh,
Oxygen.
oxygen. Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool. Because this mentally this is going to help me.
Yeah.
Awesome. So oxygen is for the O. Okay.
And then U for unconditional observation. Mindfulness, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to get a U word in there. So.
Yeah.
But it is unconditional.
Like self-compassion, self-acceptance, unconditional. That's great.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just neutral, basically. You don't have to go to, yay, isn't this one? No, just neutral.
It's just neutral.
Quite an accomplishment, to be.
Got it.
With your pain and with your anguish or whatever it is that you're wrestling with. Tune into your body, listen to your body. Where do you feel it? What are the physical sensations that you actually feel with the tension? One way to make it more objective or scientific observation is to pinpoint where you feel it most in your body, and then how tense it is. If you had a gauge right there, how high would the needle go up to?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go back down on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, did I?
No, you're good. You're good. No, you are. This is all part of it. Okay, so unconditional, and then
mindful. So, what would be?
That's the U.
That's the U. So you're just getting a reading on. You're observing mindfully.
Okay. Getting a reading, unconditional. And then the T.
For so a lot of words that seem to apply, but my original thought was give your brain some a simple technique, something that you can do that produces bilateral stimulation, like tapping on either side of your arms or body, or take a walk.
Okay, so all the T tools.
Yeah, tools. Just a mechanical.
I love it.
Mechanical thing you can do that doesn't require any thought, right?
Yeah.
But you can trust. And that's another T word. Trust the process. It'll aid, your brain's processing system.
This is so fascinating because this is a little bit of how I was talking before about the Kool-Aid of different workshops or brand or any kind of coaching, leadership stuff. It seems to all come back to this kind of stuff around self-awareness, self-navigating this kind of life machine. Like if this body's a computer, there seems to be like, all right, everyone, this is how we maintain this, bioelectric, whatever you want to call it, thing that houses, our spirit or whatever.
I call it the equipment.
The equipment, yeah, it's like
care and keeping of the.
Yeah, it seems like there's almost just a way that there's some fundamentals that seem very similar, like some basic stuff like this. That's like, and it's so valuable. it's so basic but so valuable. Like, and I think we as a humanity right now don't have that as almost. It should be an obvious resource, right? Like,
yeah. Well, also all the, as I call them, sages of the ages have said the same thing.
Yeah.
Too.
So what's going on? Why is this such a mystery? It feels like it shouldn't be a mystery, but it kind of is. Like.
Yeah, and also becoming more sought after too, because of and in this book I was mentioning, he's talking about the phenomenon of the digital age, on consciousness. That before digital technology, people were functioning. This is analog time, right? Being out in the woods, seeing the deer.
Yeah.
Nature and our being in it is analog, but along comes the digital world, and we're all of a sudden we're going from the speed of sound to the speed of light in what we have to keep up with, which is impossible basically. And so the potential for fear and greed to really create havoc is accelerating too. So So it's becoming more important, more and more all the time, for people to know how to ground, how to collect, to get back into alignment with real life.
That is really fascinating.
Isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, because I don't think technology is going away.
No. So we got to accelerate our ability to be in more of a spiritual consciousness. I don't know if it's what you're saying about higher and lower. It is a higher vibration. Just like the light spectrum.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to imply a value system. Although we certainly feel better if we're vibrating at a higher, the vibration of love rather than hate.
Yeah, there seems to be where, we could put this in some categories that are. There's got to be some categories here.
Well, this is amusing to me. I realize that, okay, here's me being judgmental of people who I think are judgmental people. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
I realize too, it's like, if I'm going to change my tune and have a positive attitude toward them, an accepting one, a expansive one, I got to go through a process here, like what we were talking about, OUT, and it's easier said than done, especially on the spot. There's a great prayer, the loving kindness prayer, that just goes, may you be at peace, may your heart remain open, may you awaken to the light of your own true nature, may you be healed and be a source of healing for others. I find that to be a really, I don't know, for me, expansive, mind-expanding sort of way of putting forth a positive prayer type feeling toward others.
Do you think that's the universal law of everything? Love?
Oh, yeah. The spirit that holds the whole universe together. Weren't you talking about that on one of your podcasts?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any way to scientifically measure that, but it's just interesting to me that that's still something that physicists are desire to discover. And I just had a weird thought, like, well, what if it's love? Because I think that's what we all want, if we're being honest with ourselves. I feel like that's the common denominator of all of this.
Yeah. Well, to be safe, to be at peace, that's what love brings into the equation, Trust that, that the other people are believe in you,
Yeah, well, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Were we talking about, your brother Brian talked about how Maslow changed the last, above self-actualization, he put transcendence. If he went back and revised that.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? What is he getting at there?
The hierarchy of needs is talking about the need of the individual self.
Yeah. It's with the tech stuff, I've had to reconcile that at a young age. I don't remember in my younger 20s I was super anti-tech. But at a certain point I just realized, like, there's no way this is going away. I need to accept this as almost like a evolution. Like, this is part of as a humanity, this is part of our evolution. Like, tech has a place. It can be scary though, like when it detaches one so much. You know, like all the stuff about people living in virtual reality and all the movies in the future about people are going to spend more time living in the virtual reality than this reality. Mm-hmm. And then it's profound that there's even talk that we're already in a simulation, you know, like the Matrix. Yeah. I mean, a lot of probabilities point to that it's more probable that we're in a simulation than not, if you want to like look at the math of it. And just the trajectory of where our tech's going, then by the sheer size of the universe and unknown universe, probability wise, there is another place that's evolved so quick that their tech went to a place where it is able to create simulation, and we could be living in one of those simulators. Have you heard that theory? Like,
well, not exactly. I mean, but sort of the Matrix challenges us to think, because the humans living in reality didn't was more of a energy that happened. You know, that as I understand it anyway, and maybe that's what this book is getting at, that you know, bring everything that you are as a human being, that creativity, that moral compass, that divine spark, into technology, so that there's a integration there and a synthesis. But
so it has a soul almost.
Yeah, well, that's immutable. The human soul would be what lives on, and it's extremely adaptable. So it's able to adapt to the predominance of the technological world of the matrix that had been created.
Yeah, the soul was still existing and experiencing, even though it was living in a tank. And then it could become self-aware and get out of the tank, ultimately.
Yeah, and live in the matrix.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah, I don't know, but
anyway, transcendence, because we were on that rabbit trail before.
Well, yeah. So then, to get to the definition of self, that is like the super consciousness that transcends the ego confines of self-concept, defining ourselves as, you know, individual units. One word for ego is ego, edging God out. You hear that? So I think of the transcendent state as being where we're aware of our connection with God and of course all of humanity, you know, that we're all, you know, that there's this God, this love, this spirit of love that creates us and holds us together, and, you know, and if we can live in that and love each other as brothers and sisters, that's fulfillment.
It's like transcendence of humanity almost.
Yeah, of the ego state, you know, the ego's view of it.
Would you say the ego state is an evolutionary step? Like we're in ego, the age of ego, and now we're coming out of it, maybe, as a humanity?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's the portent that nowhere in history there have been this many people becoming aware. You know, it's been the mystics in the past, and you know, of course, it's all what Jesus taught and other teachers too. But you know, the message, the gospel, is that you have a creator who loves you absolutely, unconditionally. Relax. Don't worry.
Relax. Yeah.
And take that and share it and love each other in the same kind of manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.